of...
Voy a chacar! Hey!
PartyGaming.com. Everyone's playing.
This is the PartyGaming.com Million. It's the doubles turn to take center stage. This different format shows us how important teamwork can be. They have to agree on their moves and tactics as they plot their way around the board, or it could all end in tears. "128 backgammon players have come to this beautiful island to compete for the PartyGaming.com Million title. But there's another game drawing in the crowds, the doubles matches.
That's right, Roxanne. Doubles is a specialized format, but a whole lot of fun. 2 players per team, and they can consult with each other on every move. It's like a marriage. A happy one, we hope.
But before we head over to the action at the doubles event, let's get you up to speed on some backgammon jargon.
Pip count, the total number of spots on the dice you need to roll in order to remove all your checkers from the board.
Blocking is when you build point in front of your opponent so he can't move freely.
The word hit in backgammon is when you play your checker to the opponent's checker on top of it, and you remove it from the board and you put it on an elevated space next to the board, and then they are essentially sent all the way back and they have to re-enter the board before they can play any other part of their move.
The checker, that's the stones. And then you say also checker play, that means how you move the stones, so that's a checker play.
Racing is when there's no contact left in the position and you just want to roll high dice and get the job done.
Candlesticks is when you are forced to or choose to pile your checkers on a few points so they form like large sticks.
A home board is where you bring all your checkers. You bring them home before you can take them off the board. That's the rule in backgammon.
Backgammon enthusiast and author Victoria Smirnoff is one of the top female players in the game. Victoria, there's a wonderful story in your book about how you got into backgammon. Can you tell me about it?
Oh yes, of course. I was spending a lot of time in Monte Carlo, and that's where I met Mike Swobodny. I had a few games with Michael, and he told me I'm totally hopeless. But he said that I should just take some classes with Paul McGreal. And for the next 4 years, I was Paul's student.
And it obviously had some effect, because then you won a world title with Paul.
Yes, we won. Yes, I was rolling and Paul made the moves.
Tell me about if you feel welcome as a woman in backgammon, which is more of a man's world, it seems now.
My main interest and why actually I am playing backgammon is that I love to compete with men. I absolutely love to compete with men. I love to win. I like to see them being very upset. And you know, I've been playing, let's say I'm playing ping pong for money as well, money games, badminton, bowling. I just like to compete with men.
I understand you have a special way of preparing for each backgammon match, Victoria.
I definitely have a special way of preparing. I'm just standing on my head for a few minutes. Well, you see, yesterday I was playing and waiting and playing for 12 hours. And the day before yesterday I was playing for 6 hours in a row. And it just, your back hurts, your neck hurts. And being in a position with your head down helps quite a lot.
As we've seen so far, the cube has been a significant part of the game. It's integral to a player's strategy and is ultimately used as either player's weapon. Here's an insight onto how the cube works.
There are 3 things we're going to look at. The first one, the pip count. The second one, the cube. And the third one, how the dice land on the table, the probabilities of certain rolls occurring and others not occurring. Why is the pip count important? The pip count lets you know where you stand in the race. Backgammon is a race. You need to know where you stand to understand what play to make. One of the more common ways of quickly calculating the difference between your and your opponent's pip count is to look at the differences. Ignore those areas of the board where your counters are the same and just look at the differences. Take a look at the board and let me explain what I mean. In this simplistic example, both players have 2 stones on each of their home board. Black has 3 on the 6 and red has 3 on the 8. So the difference is 2 pips times 3 stones. Red is 6 pips behind black. There are 36 ways the dice can land on the board. But from backgammon's point of view, there are only 21 different results.
There are 6 doubles, see the red diagonal line, double 1 through double 6, and 15 non-doubles, look at the 2 green triangles representing each of the 2 permutations of non-doubles. The green cross shows the 11 permutations of rolling a single 4. The red cross shows the 11 permutations of rolling a single 3. Using this grid, you can calculate your chances of rolling any combination of single numbers with 2 dice.
In backgammon there are no draws, but there are 3 degrees of winning: a single, a double or a treble game. And the score that you make is multiplied by the face value of this, the cube. The cube was introduced to the game in the 20th century. It significantly impacted the skill element. There is no luck involved in the use of the cube. Knowing when to accept and knowing when to drop the cube is one of the most important skills the modern expert player needs.
Look at this table to see the effect the cube can have. A double game is referred to as a gammon, and a treble game is referred to as backgammon. A single win with the cube at 1 wins a point. A gammon with a cube at 2 will win 4 points. A backgammon with a cube on 4 would win 12 points. When considering to take a cube, a player's not only considering their chance of winning from the position in the game, they also think about the effect the cube has on the score of the overall match.
We needed to introduce this subject for you so that you can understand what these experts are probably spending most of their clock time thinking about.
Falafel is one of the names in the backgammon world. A favorite coming into this tournament, but narrowly knocked out in the last 16. What is it about the way you play that you think people admire?
What has changed is that in the last few years they've developed a backgammon software that measures one's game, so to speak.
The error rate.
The error rate, yeah. And mine is, you know, up there with some of the best players, and that's what got me kind of recognized, I think.
Let's talk about how you got into backgammon. It wasn't through the computers, was it?
No, not that. I was before that, and it was on the streets of New York where I started to play, as opposed to many other players. And when you play on the streets, you kind of get a different background to the game. It's more of like a brawl, you know, as opposed to just like a nice little thing, you know, where you sit at home and play. You got to figure things out, you know, as you go along. It's not that simple.
Were there tough players back then in the New York scene?
Yeah, there were definitely some very good players there, and some are here. And so I was fortunate that I could meet them and play with them, and this way I could learn. Otherwise, it would have been a lot harder if not for some of the people from New York.
How has the game evolved? You mentioned the software, but do you have to put extra time in now to keep up with the other players?
No, actually, they have. It's the opposite way around. They got to put up with, you know, a lot of odds to keep up with me. I figure over the last, well, maybe not the last year or two, but before that, say for maybe 5 years, I figured nobody has seen more possessions than me in the world. Nobody has, because I've seen them all. I've spent many hours watching and playing, and nobody could equal that. I mean, it would be hard for anybody to equal that. I mean, that's all I do.
Our players are against the clock in these double matches. Are 2 heads better than 1, or will too many cooks spoil the broth? Join us for more action after the break from the PartyGaming.com million.
Now, buddy. PartyGaming.com.
PartyGaming.com.
Welcome back to the PartyGaming.com Million. We've witnessed some incredible games at this tournament so far. Some have been left running in circles, others defending their corner. The stakes are high and the tension is mounting here in the Caribbean.
Backgammon is played on a board consisting of 24 narrow triangles called points. The board is divided into 4 quadrants, each player's home and outer boards. These are separated from each other by a ridge down the center called the bar. The point furthest away for one player is their 24 point, and it is also their opponent's 1 point. At the start of a game, each player has 15 checkers of his own color, 2 on his 24 point, 5 on the 13 point, 3 on the 8 point, and 5 on the 6 point. Each player uses 2 dice. A doubling cube with the numerals 2 to 64 is used to raise the stakes of the game. The object of the game is to bear all your checkers off before your opponent. They cannot start to do this until all checkers are in their home board.
Well, now you know how to play. Let's get back to the stormy action here in the sun. The doubles final was shaping up to be a bit of a blunderbuss. On one side, Telcher and Bonding, the too talkative pair. How would they fare against the stoicism of Fernandez and Toft? Would it be hit or holler? Well, there was only one way to find out.
And what a doubles final this promises to be. On the left, the Northern European poker players versus the chess players from South America on the right. A 9-point match. They're playing for $40,000. Winner takes all. I'm joined here, as usual, by Kent Goulding in the commentary box. Kent, you were a chess player, weren't you?
Oh, absolutely. I came from a chess background, and there's something really fascinating about chess players and backgammon. Chess players make theoretically excellent backgammon players. The transference of skills is very, very high. They recognize patterns well, they think ahead, they can see what's going to happen. The problem with chess players and backgammon is they tend to, after a short period of time, jump out the window. The luck element drives them absolutely nuts. Christian Toth and Leo Fernandez have generally overcome that.
I remember your story, it's great. You said, imagine you can checkmate the next move with a rook, but then you have to roll the dice to decide whether you can move the rook. A great analogy.
Okay, well, we're joining the action in the 7th game of this 9-point match. The score is currently 4-3 in favor of Bonding and Telcher. And the early opening is the usual jockeying to try to make an anchor, try to make blocking points. Both sides making some progress, although Bonding and Telcher have a very slight edge here.
Yeah. As we can see, the usual hitting on the bar, on the key points. Toth Fernandez now looking at the 2 options. Shall they hit on the outside, gaining momentum in the race, or shall they try establish the firmer foundations of their own bar point?
They can also hit 2 checkers. I actually like the play they're looking at here. Just they don't have enough ammunition up front to really launch an attack. So let's hit in the back, spring one of our own back checkers, and strip away the opponent's checker. This is another play, which is to hit 2. But I look at this sort of as embarking on a war with no exit strategy. Without enough troops in place here, if this plan fails, it's going to leave an awful, awful mess.
Absolutely. There are too few backup troops here. The 3 men behind and the 4 on the midpoint. There are insufficient men, even if you are lucky on this roll, to capitalize on that advantage.
Well, they've chosen to go, you know, all in. They've sent all their troops in battle. What's going to happen? A 3 would be critical. No, it's not a 3. It's double 5s. A monster roll.
Absolutely. What a turnaround that mode. Look at the percentage changes now from 7, almost reversing fortunes after that double 5. 4-2 is a great response, an opportunity to build that advanced anchor, which is exactly what Toth Fernandez are looking at now.
Right, there's actually 2 choices here. I like what they first looked at, which I think you like too, Julian. But this play kind of goes for everything. I think it's too optimistic, but they make an anchor and they strengthen their home board. Now we've flashed ahead a few moves.
Yes, the chess players are on the bar. They've rolled a double 5. They're staying there. I think the poker players are, what are they doing? Thinking they're going all in?
Yeah, they're thinking about raising the stakes here. This is in fact a very strong double. They might even be talking about, is it too good to double? If you're going to double, it always pays to take a little bit of time because your opponent's not going to know, are you thinking, am I doubling because it's not good enough, not quite good enough, or it's too good? I think this is a very, very powerful double. Julian?
It's a strong double, I agree. It's also probably difficult to drop. Toth Fernandez, you know, they have an anchor. They do have 3 home points, no wasted men. It's, I think it's playable.
Yeah, I'd actually give it up, but it's there is some play, and now we're going to find out.
The 6-1. I think Bonding Telcher would have ideally liked to button up those open blots. Instead, we'll see them coming round and get some flexibility, trying to establish a 7 and 4 point. The 4 point now becoming a focal point for this match that could have been made previously with Toth Fernandez.
Right, I actually sort of like this play. I don't think there's any urgency to safety that back checker. This gives them flexibility to attack, as you said. Now it's critical. They really want to get 5-3. They've stayed on the bar.
Another fan, they really didn't want to. There was only 9 rolls which prevented them coming in. They found one.
Oh, double twos. A great shot. We've moved forward a couple of rolls. Bonding and Telcher have had the better of it. Now, double twos, there's 3 possible plays. Let's see if they give us a chance to see them. One is just to keep that checker going all the way to the ace point and make the ace point. A second play is to hit and make their 4 point. They've already hit. They're going to do that. See, there's the first play I talked about.
Yep.
A second play would be to make the 4 point, and a third play would just be to keep the blockade. What do you think of this, Julian?
I like this position. I think the blockade takes priority. The straggler on the 1 point shouldn't be made. 4 point would be my second choice, but I much prefer keeping the 7 and 8 anchor, the effective prime against Toth Fernandez.
Right. Well, with this strong of a prime with 4 checkers behind it, the priming game is often right. Now we've moved forward again. Now there's a huge struggle to make this point, to make the 21 point, Black's 4 point. If Leo and Christian can get away with that, they've got a very, very playable game. If they can't, they'll be stuck on a questionably timed 2 point game, which is bad indeed.
It's just highlighting how critical that 4 point was so many moves ago, isn't it, Kent? To have established that now would have been a different flavour on this game.
Oh, look, the chess players have stayed on the bar. Now, if he only can roll a 1, a 3, or a 4. But no, he can't move his rook. He can't move his bishop. He's forced to move a knight, and he can't cover the 4 point. Now it's back to the other side. Will there be a 4? Will there be a 2? They're in with a 4 again. The game goes round and round. It's incredibly exciting, and it's balanced on the edge of a knife. Whoever wins the fight for the 4 point could easily win this game.
Now, what they're looking at here are the 2 options. What Toth Fernandez can do is either cover the open blot on their own 1 point or escape a man, give him up. They've chosen the cover, probably the right thing. They are escaping with 5s and 6s, and they're hitting with 3s and 4s and coming up with 2s. Almost everything works well for Toth Fernandez here.
Bonding and Telcher have stayed out now. Okay, they've hit and come up to the 21 point. This is great. They're turning it around.
Fantastic. They finally made that 4 point that they could have made in move 4 of this game.
In with just 1 checker. Now it's a little bit tricky. They're spread a bit thin here, the chess players are. They're trying to do too many things at once, and what they're going to choose to do here is hard to say. This double 1s is a very complicated role.
There are 2 ways this can be played. What Red can do is move down with 2 men on the 3, taking off the 2 and gaining momentum, initiative in the chess player's mind. The other option is to cover the point where the finger is, where you can see Toth or Fernandez pointing. That has the advantage of possibly causing Black to break in certain positions.
Right, a chess player would call this zugzwang, forced to move. They're hoping that Black comes in with a number like 5-4. He comes in with a 5, then he has no 4 to play, or even 2-1. But no, they came in with 5-3, a great shot, putting Black very much in command.
Black clearly now taking a dominant position. The percentage is showing that, with a 70-30 estimated chance of Black winning from this position. A huge roll, the 5-3.
3-1 by the chess players is just played, it's sort of a pass. They just play safe and wait to see what happens.
The pip count on your counters gives you a running tally, if you like, of the numbers of points that each player needs to roll to bring their men into the home board and off the board.
Now, in a position like this, it's actually relatively insignificant. What's going to be determined here is, will Black at some point be forced to break their board and leave some shots so that all those back checkers of Reds can come forward? Or will Black be able to either force Red to crunch up his home board or just come home and start bearing off? Right now, it's still very, very close. The chess players are making a move forward, although they still have that blot on their 5 point. If they can cover the blot on their 5 point, they'll be in pretty good shape. If they can't, things could go bad. Here, they play the ace here in order to put pressure on their own 2 point in case Bonding and Telcher enter there.
Absolutely. Ideally, of course, they'd like to leave the 9 and 8 both open, giving them maximum chance of covering that 5, but that is a little bit too risky. That will be 5 open blots in a situation where Bonding Telcher have 4 points closed. That's probably a recipe for losing a double game.
Okay, we flash forward a little bit. 2-3, in with the deuce, can't play the 3.
The double 2, that's good. That hits in the outfield. And Bonding Telcher will probably move down to their 2, putting more pressure on their own 2-point now.
Right, that's the focus of the game now. Which side is going to be able to seize Black's 2-point? It could go either way. There's a critical roll, and they get
2-1. The chess players have made the 2-point.
The game goes on and on and on. They keep rolling round and round. Finally, Bonding and Telcher have brought all their checkers home, and now it's going to boil down to, it's basically what we call a 2-4 back game. They've got the two opponents 2-point and 4-point, while Bonding and Telcher are just trying to get off safely without leaving a shot. Double 5s here allowed them to clear their furthest back point.
Double 1, okay, that's good. It makes the 5-point. Ideally, what Toth Fernandez would have liked is to escape from the 23 to bring round some more ammunition. They're obviously going to make the 5, well, they could make the 5-point. The last thing they want to do is put a checker out of play. What they're looking at now is a halfway house.
Yeah, the problem is they couldn't play their 4th 1. They had to play 3, but oh look, a shot! 6-4's left a shot. There are 20 numbers to hit and likely win the game. If they miss, they're in deep trouble. Any 3, any 1, and they've rolled!
6-2.
Ugh. Oh, that was so exciting. Well, they're not dead yet. They're not dead yet. They still hold both points in the slim hope that double 3s or double... No, it's double 6s. It's over now. The only question is, can they run fast enough to save the gammon, which looks extremely unlikely. It looks like Bonding and Telcher are going to win the game. They're going to win a doubled game and take a significant lead in this match.
The score is 4-3 to Bonding Telcher. Toth Fernandez looking now like losing a double game with a cube on 2. That'll put the score at 8-3 to Bonding Telcher.
The position's a little misleading because there's actually more checkers on the board than there appear to be because they're stacked too deep. So there's still a small legal chance. Bonding and Telcher are going to win the game, but are they going to win a doubled game or not? We need big doubles here for the chess players. Otherwise, they're going to be at a significant disadvantage in this match. They couldn't do it. It was actually very exciting. It all really boiled down to a double shot, which was missed.
So our poker players from Northern Europe, Mark Telcher and Lars Bonding, walk away with the winner's prize of $40,000. Winner takes all. Christian Toth and Leo Fernandez, our chess players from South America, are the runners-up in the doubles final here in Atlantis.
Some had a marriage made in heaven, others had a marriage made in hell. But a magical pairing proved to be the perfect recipe for success. Next time, we join the final table of the PartyGaming.com Million here on Paradise Island in the Bahamas.
PartyGaming.com. Everyone's playing.